an Amazon affiliate, so if you click on the links, I make a commission of anywhere from 1 to 3%. So I'm not really here to make a commission. I'm here to share what worked for me because when I went and watched all the YouTube videos, they were recommending all these really expensive things and all these things that I didn't end up using. So we're going to go over what I did end up using and what I didn't end up using, like a crib. I'm still pretty new at vlogging, so I apologize if I'm a little bit awkward. That's just kind of who I am. So I'm working on it, okay? All right, so this is my link tree. This is what I'm gonna link in the caption of this video. I don't know why I pointed that way. This is my link tree, and you'll click shopping at the top. And because I only know how to make presentations and play with Canva, I made an infographic that has the links to each product that I talk about. These are the links that I would purchase now if I were to go back and have a baby for the first time again. Now I have a lot of these things, or I've given them away, or I will show you the things that I didn't end up using. I'm one of those types of people that just really likes lists. Also, I love to find my people. So if you like organizing things on your day off, put it in the comment section. The very first thing we think of when we think of babies is their car seat. If you find one used, make sure that it's still in good condition and hasn't been in a car accident and still meets safety ratings. So all babies are different. Some of them are going to cry in one car seat and love the other car seat. There's no right way, and we can't just know that before they're born. So the Nuno was great for our infant. Now, I personally like having one that swivels, and this one doesn't. This is what we just switched to, the even flow, and it's amazing, and I would buy it 1,000 times over. But I also realize that a lot of people just don't have $300 to just spend on a car seat. If you're looking for a cheaper option than the even flow, this is the one I would recommend because even though it's still $200, this is going to last them until they're a toddler. $200 on one of the most important things a baby's going to need isn't that bad. If you're going to spend money on something, I would do it on the car seat. All right, if I were to go back and buy a carrier, I'd buy this one based off of the reviews and my research that I did of it. It seems like it's comfortable, which my first one wasn't. It was about $30, but it was still a great carrier. It had the structure. I could carry him around for a few hours and it was all right. It still hurt my shoulders, but it did the job. You'll hear people talk about the Ergo Baby, which is like very structured. Another popular one is the Moby. It's great if you know how to wrap a wrap. I didn't really care to wrap a wrap every time, so I liked the carriers. This is my first carrier. This is the one that I would recommend if you just want to save money. This one is great. You can bring it places. I mean, as long as you're not going on a hike through the woods, I think it's great. I bought this one and I hated it. I returned it. So yeah, it was just like, it didn't fit me right. But I'm also kind of short. I don't know. I'm a little narrow. Yeah. This I actually just bought. This I really do recommend because you hold your baby in this position a lot more than you think. And it's gonna just save your hips and shoulders. It just protects your body a little bit when you carry your baby all the time. It'll be really helpful with my Velcro babies. So I'm super excited. For $84, all right, that's kind of a lot. They do have cheaper versions, but I just want to support the person who started this because I think it's amazing. You can get a travel system which has a car seat and a stroller. That's what I had, where you could move your car seat to the car. And it worked really well for when he was sleeping. But I don't know, they're just really expensive usually. And They only have like an infant version. They're not usually like compatible with grow with me type of things. So if you get a travel system, it's probably only going to last them 6 months, maybe a year. And they're expensive. That's why I'd opt for the car seat, the expensive car seat that swivels if you can afford it, and a stroller that lays down because you're going to want it and faces both sides. That's the other important thing about the stroller. So this is the one that I would get if I was getting just the car seat and the stroller instead of the travel system. What we did is we have our travel system stroller that has a regular seat on it, but it doesn't go both ways. It only faces one way, and it's not my favorite. The bassinet mode is super, super helpful when baby's teething or extra needy and you just need a moment and need to go on a walk. Put the baby in the bassinet part, go on a walk, you calm down, baby calms down. It's amazing. I'll show you some other options. So all of these are very similar. They're not a travel system. They're just going to be a stroller. You'll have to look. This one I see a lot. It's way too expensive for my taste, so I don't even look at it. This is what I have for when we go out. It's great. It goes back. It has a sunshade. It's perfect for like going to the museum or going to the park, going out. So this is a really great cheap option for a travel system. I'd have to look at the reviews and the safety ratings to recommend it, but I just wanted to show you what a travel system looks like. It's a car seat and then a stroller that can just plop the car seat on. And moving on. I will talk about co-sleeping, bed sharing all day, but the main things that you need to know is that it is okay to share a bed with your baby, but you need to follow a lot of rules and do the research if you choose to do that. It is also okay to let your baby sleep in a crib and tend to your baby every time they cry. What's important is that you are being a responsive and intentional parent. However you choose to do it, you need to do it safe and comfortably. Some people don't feel comfortable sharing a bed with their baby, so don't do it. I can't imagine not sharing a bed with my baby, and I also know a lot of people who are the same way. We tried without, and it was more dangerous falling asleep on the couch in the rocking chair and in unsafe situations because we weren't getting enough sleep. So I would advocate for bed sharing all day, every day. But you also need to follow the Safe Sleep 7 and Safe Co-Sleeping rules. My option that I provided allows for both. We had a crib and we sold it after using it like 5 times. Yeah, so I wouldn't buy a crib again. I think they're useless. And cribs stress me out. There's a lot of dangers that come with cribs too. Make sure you don't have bumpers, make sure that they're built correctly and the bars are safe and it's, what do you call it? Positioned to a wall. I don't know. This is what I bought, and I would buy it 1,000 times over. We bought a bassinet, we bought a pack and play, we bought a crib, we bought a lot. And I would buy this because it allows you to sleep right next to your baby. There's ways to hook it up to your bed so that you can co-sleep or bed share, but you're not sharing a bed. I'm going to be real honest here. Theodore usually slept in my bed next to this bassinet, just in case he like fell off the bed. It was right there. That's what I used it for. Personally, I think the best, most optimal, safe sleeping situation for me would have just been a bed, but on the floor, like a queen Montessori bed, probably not in the same bed with Zach, but he doesn't move that much, so we decided it was safe enough. Plus, in the very beginning, when Theodore was really fragile, we usually didn't sleep at the same time. One of us was always watching him for like the first 3 months because we both we were pretty lucky. We both had 6 weeks off. So for that 6 weeks, we took turns sleeping. And yeah, it worked for us, but it probably won't work for everyone. So I'm just trying to give you all the information that you need to help you make the best decision for you. For the first 3 months, you're not really supposed to give babies anything
without a doctor's recommendation.
You'll read a lot about gripe water. Please be safe when you use it. Follow the instructions. You administer it really slowly over a long period of time so that it doesn't choke the baby, because it can. Little Remedies is a great option for medicine. I'm going to show you all of my favorites here now. This Bordeaux's butt paste, we have used religiously since he was born. Every diaper change, he's gotten Bordeaux's butt paste, and he has never had a real diaper rash. Like, he's gotten a couple bumps every now and then we put some on it and it's fine. So yeah, maybe we're just lucky, or maybe this stuff is really amazing. So pretty much everything you see here, you're probably going to use. I have bought all of these. I bought this, dye-free all the way. I bought this. So Zarbee's is the better one. Zarbee's is the one we use pretty much anytime he has a stuffy nose. We put this under his nose and it clears up. Not a medical professional, so yeah, take everything I say with a grain of salt. Don't know what this is, but I would use it. I guess if you don't want to touch your baby's butt. All right, cool. They shouldn't really need Band-Aids. Oh, I did need a Band-Aid once when my cat scratched. If you want to know more, Dog Meets Baby is a great Instagram account for that. I have a hatch and I wish I hadn't bought it, because I think you have to pay some yearly subscription fee and it was like $90. I don't know. I guess I thought if I had it, I wouldn't have to use my Spotify. Apparently you can just have like family mode on Spotify, and I just overthought it. So I wouldn't buy a hatch again. I would buy this. I would buy this for traveling, just to have something in the car to put on the car seat or in your diaper bag. I'm pretty sure we used ours on the way home from the hospital or shortly after that. We used ours in the car a few times, but we mostly used it when we traveled, which wasn't very often. So you may not even need a travel one. This is what I would buy if I hadn't bought the hatch. The things that you're going to really need are an electric nail file, a nasal aspirator, and the electric ones are amazing. Or you can suck their boogers out. I do that too, but my husband can't. Or there's the bulbs, but I really don't recommend the bulbs. I've always had a hard time with them, but maybe you're better than me, so that's probably true. And I realized this should have gone with health, but a forehead thermometer, I also think is super important. We went out in the middle of the night to buy one, even though we had one lost somewhere in our boxes at home. So I would just have it on handy. I thought he had a fever. He didn't actually have a fever. He was fine. He was just fussy. I use this thing on a daily basis. The white things in the back are for when they get constipated or gassy or something. I used them like twice. They have medicine administrators in here, thermometers, nail clippers. I have yet to use nail clippers. I do use this ear and nose picker though. We didn't have a bath, so we needed to buy a bath. We had a really weird situation. We only had like this really narrow shower, so our baby actually only took sink baths and showers with me usually, and we usually did that like once every week to start, and then once every few days after probably a month or so. He would just shower with me or Zach, and using a little bit of soap and rinsing him off, and I'd hand him to Zach and he'd go get him dressed. We didn't actually use a bath until we had a bath. We have a big bath in our apartment now, but we use a little bath, and we use one that's collapsible because our apartment's pretty small. But if I were to go back and buy another one, I'd buy this one. Frida Baby 4-in-1 Grow With Me top. I'd buy this one because it would help with a lot of the fears that I had when he was little and when he started to sit and walk. Those came with new fears with the little tubs because you worry that they're gonna like jump over, but there's legs for that. So those legs would have been really nice to have when he was learning how to sit and walk. If you can handle using reusable diapers, then power to you. That's amazing. I could not do that. I use the Mama Bear brand, but if I were to recommend a eco-friendly option, and if I were to buy whatever diapers I could buy, these are the ones that I would buy. They are 26 cents a count. Also, when you buy stuff online, make sure you look at that and compare because you don't want to be spending like twice as much on something because it adds up over time. I would get newborn 1, 2, and 3. And I wouldn't get a ton of newborn because sometimes babies don't even wear newborn diapers. I use water wipes. If I were to use any wipes, I'd use these wipes. They're a little bit more expensive though, so I use water wipes. The thing about both water wipes and these wipes is you have to use the rubber band and wrap it around so that when you pull out the wipe, the top doesn't come off because it's not the plastic top that it makes it so easy to pull wipes out. So you end up just like re-sticking this piece on, which can get kind of annoying. So if you really want that plastic piece, you need like Honest is probably the next best, and then Pampers. Pampers is pretty terrible though, but they have like an eco-friendly option, so you could do that. I did a lot of research on pacifiers or dummies, they're also called, and these were the best ones that I could find. The little round ones could affect the way their teeth develop, and they might push them out further. I don't know. It's a dentist thing, the round ones. But sometimes those are the only ones that a baby will take. The MAM pacifiers are good for teeth, like orthopedic approved or something. I never really cared to say I was EBF. I liked having the option to freeze milk and then save it for later so I could go out with my friends, or Zach and I could go on a date, or Theodore could spend the day with his grandparents. So I found a lot of benefits to having bottles. It gave me a lot of freedom. But if you really want to foster that connection and achieve that EBF goal, then power to you. That's amazing. I would recommend having bottles as a backup just in case. You never know what's going to happen. Even if you can just borrow one from a friend. There is like a timeline on bottles. I think you're supposed to replace them every so often, so I checked that. I used the Dr. Brown's colic bottles. I used a couple different kinds because a friend had given me hers. Those worked. They had a lot of pieces though, and I didn't really like washing the green part every time. I like this kit because it has the different sizes. It also has the brush, the pacifiers, and the sterilizer. So you knock out a few birds with one stone, and you usually don't need all the other fancy stuff that come in these kits, but it is nice to have sometimes, like the bottle warmer, the bottle sterilizer, a drying tree. There's a lot of other things that come with bottles that if you're going to use them a lot, you probably should look more into bottle feeding. Do your research on what bottles work for a lot of moms and what you might want to look into, what's important to you in your bottle, things like that. This is what I actually bought when I was jumping from bottle to bottle. Luckily, I had a few different kinds to try from different friends who had had babies already. And I read online on a lot of Facebook groups, bottles moms preferred. And these are the ones that I ended up buying. They worked out really well for us. The shape is wider, more like a boob. Theodore didn't really love bottles, but he did like these ones better than the other ones. And usually I couldn't give him a bottle, but Zach could, or his grandparents could. So now we're getting into more of like the fun stuff. This isn't as necessary as the first page, but they are things that you should start thinking about if you have the money to look at buying, or maybe looking at used or hand-me-downs. There's nothing wrong with going to Goodwill or a secondhand store of any kind. There's a lot of local thrift stores and women's clinics that sell these things, or just give them away for free. A lounger. Some of these icons have 2 links to them, and that is just because I'm being complicated. This one is the lounger that I would buy if I were to buy another lounger. My lounger was fine. It had like a mobile thing on top. Honestly, this one's really expensive and it doesn't have a mobile on the top. All Theodore really wanted was his lounger to vibrate. So that's why I chose this one, and because I like the way it looks, and it looks like he wouldn't get too hot in it, which is another thing. You want to make sure you're being super mindful of your baby's temperature when you buy them furniture. I love how cute this one is, but my first thought is that it's really fluffy. And when it comes to newborns, you tend to want to stay away from things that are fluffy. I would just worry about suffocation risk. Just kidding, I changed my mind. I would buy this one. So I'm going to link this one instead of the other one that I have linked. And that's because it's organic materials. It's probably not going to bother my baby's skin. Organic isn't just something I buy because it's expensive. It's something I buy because it's less likely to harm the environment or our bodies. And I just love the snail and mushroom. I think it's adorable. All right, this is what Zach and I call baby jail. This is one of those things that Montessori educators tell you not to buy because it limits their creativity. So I'm going to tell you how to buy it and not limit your child's creativity. You're not going to need this until they start moving. And you could set up a bed inside of it. So that's one option, is you could do a Montessori type bed, but make sure you do the research on how to do that safely. Maybe eventually I'll make a video on that, but I don't have one yet. I chose this one because it's small. Your baby does not need a whole room to themselves. Yes, you're probably going to end up sitting in there with them a lot, but it's okay. We can curl up for a few minutes. It's fine. It comes with the mat and the rings, and a lot of them don't come with the mat and the rings, and it's really annoying to go and find those after the fact. This one's also cheap and it has a door. There are ones that are retractable that you can take with you places, so that's pretty cool. I don't plan to take this with me. I plan to just watch my child and let him explore and roam free. That's more of the Montessori mindset. I use these for things like rough play, an imagination station. So you could put things like a wand or a hat, things where they can play pretend with those items. A pan. They don't really know how to play pretend yet. That would be more for when they're toddlers. It could be a reading room or a little library, book nook type of thing. It could be a space place or a peace place where they take some space away from family if they need a minute to calm down. This is not timeout. This is their own safe place to go and hang out until they feel ready and like they can talk again. It could also be your space place where you take some space and you model that behavior for your child. My favorite is Connection Corner. That's currently what ours is set at right now. It's a place where we can connect when he comes home from daycare. And Connection Center just means it's literally just the mat and the rings and a stuffed animal, maybe a teether. It's more just about our connection, not about what's inside the playpen. I would recommend having some sort of activity center where you can place your baby to do something while you run and use the restroom. We didn't start using his jumper until he was about 5 months, but We still use it at 13 months, and we use it a lot. So I have a walker wagon, which is very similar to this, except it has blocks inside. I wish I didn't have the blocks because my dog eats them and my baby tries to eat them as well. And it's just not mentally appropriate, I don't think. He's not ready for blocks. And I like this better because he can put toys in the wagon. This makes more sense to me. I don't know why I didn't buy this in the first place. I put this with the lounger because I feel like it's a place where babies lounge, but they're also engaging in creative activity. So it could also be an activity center. It probably would make more sense there, but I'm not worried about it. Anyways, this is the play gym. I like this one because it has contrasting colors. Black and white is big for newborn babies. And then as things get more challenging to look at because they don't have their full vision, they learn the different shades of colors. So each color on this play gym is intentional, and I like that. I also like that it's wood, and I like the way it looks, and I like the way it feels. Everything about it is aesthetic, and I feel like I would have loved this way more than the one that I did buy. The one I bought actually had a ball pit that my dog ended up eating all the balls, and my baby didn't care much for the balls anyways. I ended up keeping like 2 of the balls and throwing the rest away. So I had a wooden rocking chair that wasn't super comfortable, and so I bought a like teddy bear rocking chair, I think is what they're called. They're made out of like this teddy fur, which was really comfortable, but it didn't feel super sturdy, stable. Like the poles were kind of, I think they were too short and they didn't screw in. I don't know. When you buy things off of Amazon, sometimes they don't come out right. And that was one of those things that just didn't look right. It didn't feel right. It didn't feel super secure. So then I ended up buying this one. I actually have the space version of this one. It is the softest rocking chair, and it has a pocket where I can put my water because you need to make sure you're drinking water all the time. Or you can put a book, which is what's actually in my rocking chair. High chairs, another thing I spent way too much money on, and I wish I had just bought this. $50, you can smush it down, you can make it a little bit taller. It's not huge. It's not going to take up your whole living room. You're not going to worry about your baby falling out of it. You can take it with you on picnics. I don't know. There's a lot of reasons. I love this chair, and I wish I had bought this before I bought my current chair, which is the Halo. Super expensive, a lot of work. I don't know. It's pretty, I guess. Another thing about high chairs is you'll notice that the straps are really hard to clean. So try to find straps that aren't going to have juice just suck into them. And make sure you put a bib on your baby or just a bubble around them. I'm just kidding. The only thing that's going to get it from not getting on the straps are those smocks that go around the arms and the whole front, not just the bib. I just found out these existed and I just bought all of them, and I wish I had known these existed like 13 months ago. My baby has had access to board books for a while. Theodore has eaten a lot of his board books because I didn't realize that his saliva was actually soaking into the book and he was eating the book. So my child has eaten books, and I know he's not the only one. All right. That's one of those things that I learned just a little bit too late. So when they're really young, we can do water books, or they're called like bath time books, or soft, crunchy, sensory books. After that, we moved to indestructibles, which are destructible. I ripped one with my teeth this morning because I was curious, but they're pretty hard to break. Then board books, once they're done eating everything. And then regular books once they know how to treat a board book and all the others. Sometimes you can't keep books out of their reach, so I have all of Theodore's books within, like he can just go and grab one. And he has ripped books before. So just know if they're close enough, they might get damaged. You have a child now. As a teacher, I really want you to have toys. As a mom, I don't think you need toys. I think you can just provide experiences going around the house and learning about things like how does a broom work and what is this box and what sound does the ladder make. You just have to supervise a lot more. So toys, I think, make it easier for us to entertain babies, but they don't really need entertainment. They're just developing. I love these. These are probably the cheapest, highest quality option that I can find for baby toys that don't just fall apart or have paint peel off or cost a huge monthly subscription. So I really like these. They have different age groups and different toys. You can buy more from them, but I recommend just a few toys for your baby. They get overwhelmed if there's a lot of toys, and they really don't see toys unless you hand one to them or you put it right next to them. You should have a lot of teething items. What they are is up to you, but your baby's going through a lot when they're teething. So there are moms that I know that refuse to give any medicine. I personally give dye-free medicine when it's really bad. And when it's not that bad, but he's a little bit fussy, I'll give something like Camilla drops or Highland tablets. Or there's gel that you can put on their mouth. So I usually try to do all those things first, and then I'll save the medicine for right before bed. More importantly, I think you should have teethers. There's like a UFO toy that's a teether that a lot of babies like. But like a basic silicone teether is fine where they just hold it and chew on it. I would have a couple different options though. Something that's hard, something that's squishy, a few different teethers that are different. So I actually bought this and I wish I hadn't bought it because I didn't use most of them and he didn't care. If I were to buy it again, I would split it with another family or give away the rest. I ended up having to trash them because they got wet in the bathtub and ended up growing mold. So be careful about what toys get wet. I like this one better, but there's still a lot of toys. I don't think you need that many. I actually bought one of these and it came like half broken. I should have just returned it, but I ended up setting it up because I thought it was so cute. And these scared me because they were really light. And I think a baby could just lift it and like stick it in their head or in their eye. So yeah, we really didn't use this very often. I love this. This is amazing because it's a teether and it's a toy, and they learn so many different developmental skills. The only thing is the texture isn't all that different. This is pretty nice because you get 3 different options, and realistically, a baby's going to be able to hold something like this a lot easier than they're going to be able to hold a ring. My baby does not really like teething rings, or he didn't like them until he was about 9 months old and was able to hold things easily. I don't cook, so I bought a bunch of these and stuck them in the freezer for days that Zach wasn't going to make it home in time. And they made great dinners. If you cook, amazing. Also, if you don't cook, what I have stopped doing is I've stopped buying these, and instead I just buy instant rice and chicken broth pouches, and I throw something super simple together I don't overthink it. It doesn't have to be a fancy meal. It can be something as simple as noodles with red sauce. It doesn't have to be anything crazy, and you may not even have to cook. For a while, I gave Theodore avocados and bananas for dinner. He was just learning how to wean and how to eat. Don't overthink dinner time. Just make sure that your baby is getting enough to eat. And you are going to know that. And your doctor is going to know that, not people on the internet. Baby-led weaning starts around 6 months. Some people say puree as early as 4 months. If I were to go back and do it all again, I had so many negative experiences. Baby-led weaning, I had multiple choking situations. So I would just start with applesauce and puree. And then eventually I would move to things like bananas and avocados and softened veggies. I tried a lot of things that I don't think my son was ready for, and he wasn't ready to chew the way that other babies online were chewing. I don't want to scare you. Baby-led weaning is amazing, and babies should try food sooner because they get exposed to different tastes and textures, and it does a lot for their development the sooner that you start. But that doesn't mean that you have to go straight to steamed vegetable chunks. You can start at purees, and that's okay. I wish it was a requirement for parents to know CPR. I have taken a CPR course every 2 years for the last 8 years for teaching and being in public education and education in general, working around kids for all sorts of reasons. I've known CPR, but when it came my turn to perform it, I freaked out and I forgot everything. And I wish I had taken it one more time before I had Theodore. So if you take anything from this video, I hope it's that you learn CPR. Something that helped Theodore learn how to chew. I would eat everything that I gave him. Yes, even puree and baby food, crackers, yogis, all of it. I ate it all just so I could show him how to eat it. So I'd stick a yogi in between my teeth and I'd be super dramatic about it. And he's a lot better at chewing. I don't know if that's because I showed him or because he just got better. I went through a lot of dishes and I learned that I don't like the maintenance of glass dishes, even though they're eco-friendly. They're really hard for me to keep up with wiping the seals and taking out the straws. It's just a lot for me. So I like the cups that have something simple that I can just throw in the dishwasher. I like that this has different sets of utensils because Theodore goes through utensils like crazy. I like that it has 2 plates and a bib, although I would go back and buy the smock bibs, the ones that cover his whole arms, even though I do have a bunch of these bibs. They're not my favorite. Bowls and plates are useless. He just dumps them out onto the table, which is fine. I just use them to serve him his food. I learned that these are for snacks, so when they grab Cheerios or whatever, they don't just like grab it all. It's limited. It falls off in the container. And it comes with a fruit thingy. These are so, so, so amazing for teething. I just stick frozen fruit in it and he's happy as can be. It's like a popsicle and I'm giving him his nutrients. It's amazing. These are all the things that I think you yourself will need postpartum. You'll probably want some sort of recovery kit, your nipples, and you know where. You're going to be in pain and you're going to want some cream. You do forget about the pain though. I used 1,002 of these. So instead of making a bunch of those witch hazel pads that everyone talks about, what I did is I had my disposable underwear when I came home from the hospital. And then I had a pad. And then I put 1 2 or 3, depending on how much down there hurt, of these Tux pads. So I put 3 of them when it was really bad on the pad. I'd spray some Dermaplast down there, and then I'd pull up my underwear, and it felt amazing. So I bought a nursing sports bra. And if I were to buy another one, I'd buy this one. I'm not a huge fan of nursing bras in general or pumping bras. They're not very comfortable. I haven't found any that I liked. I ended up just holding my pumps half the time, and I preferred the hands-free pumps, that you just stick in your shirt. You can't really walk around as much as they make you think, but you can read a book and you can move around a little bit. I found it hard to do things like clean and do dishes, but I was able to eat or drink water or take care of myself while I was pumping. I didn't really love any pumps, if I'm being honest, but luckily insurance covers one for you. I ended up buying 2 other ones, and my favorite was the manual pump that I got. If I were to do it again, I'd use this one. I already have this one, and does it does good. Pumps have never really worked great for me, especially not automatic pumps. I'd much prefer to hand pump or use a manual pump. So I wouldn't spend money on a pump if you can help it. But if you are someone that works a lot, maybe it would be something worth investing in. If you're someone that works a lot, you probably get it through insurance though. So I would make sure you look at that. The sports bra I have now is good, but I bought it off of Instagram and I don't even know who I bought it from. I love Mom Cozy, so I feel like I'd probably love their sports bra, and they have pretty good reviews too. I also just love the way it looks, and I go running and I do yoga. But if I'm being honest, my boobs hurt a lot because they were super engorged for the first few months, so I didn't do a lot of running. And when I did, I had to wear like 2 or 3 sports bras, and it was painful. Now I'm getting back into running, but my boobs are almost the same size they were before, so my old sports bras work. My favorite style of nursing bras are these cross, like slanted ones, because you just whip out the boob. It's literally so easy, especially if you're wearing a crop top. And yes, you might feel ridiculous, especially if you've never worn crop tops before, but I'm convinced that that's the only way to breastfeed is to cut a shirt like above your boobs, a long sleeve shirt, and have the back come down because that still feels nice. And you just got your bra, just whip it out. It's so easy. If you're not going anywhere, that's how I lived my first few months, especially when no one was really coming over. When people came over, I wore regular shirts. I really didn't like nursing clothes. If I had nursing clothes in my budget, though, this is probably what I would buy. Okay, we're going to talk about supplements for a second. I really like Pink Stork, and I like gummies better than I like pills. I think gummies get absorbed better in our bodies, but again, I don't know that as a fact. I just feel like they do. I still take pill supplements, and I actually am taking a pill postnatal right now. If it were me going back and shopping again, I would go get Pink Stork postnatal gummies, or I would get these Ritual postpartum vitamins. It's debatable how much supplements are actually absorbed into your body, so you are welcome to do your own research. I still find them beneficial, and I think it's really important to give yourself as much as an advantage as you can. So if you're able to afford prenatals and postnatals, please do that. A lot of women's clinics will actually provide prenatals for free. So if you can't afford it, find your local women's clinic and they can help you out with a lot more than you think. These are not postnatals. These are just supplements that I want to put in this video because I find them super, super amazing for breast milk. I've used a lot of their products. I'm not sponsored by them at all, but I would 100% recommend them if you are struggling with breastfeeding, if you're worried about struggling with breastfeeding, if you know someone who's struggling with breastfeeding. There's all sorts of different teas that you can try, different snacks that you can make. There's a lot of different options if you're struggling with breastfeeding. So before you get super frustrated and you just give up, I'd encourage you to try, because personally, I think breastfeeding is so much easier than formula feeding. And I just know that there's a lot of people that I've talked to that default to formula feeding over breastfeeding. And I think breastfeeding is something that we need to cherish, and we need to support women in doing that in whatever way possible. And if they are unable to breastfeed, then we support them in that situation as well. A lot of women think that they can't breastfeed and then find out that they can. And you'll learn that from, if you look up the Lactation Network, IBCLC, they have a lot of great resources on how to support your own breastfeeding journey. A lot of times you can actually get a lactation specialist to come out to your house for free because it's covered by insurance, or you can get a reimbursement check if you file a claim. This kind of goes along with Tux and Dermaplast. You're probably going to want some Colace, and it helps with constipation. It helps during pregnancy. That's when I mostly used it, but it also helps during postpartum when everything is pretty fragile down there. Anyone who breastfeeds will tell you that you want a Haka for letdowns, because when your baby's breastfeeding on one side, as long as you don't have twins, you're getting a letdown from the other side. So you put your Haka there by squeezing it, and it suctions, and then it just fills up however much you get while during a feed. I would get maybe an ounce or not even an ounce sometimes, and sometimes I filled the whole thing. I'd recommend that you buy one so that you can have that extra frozen milk for later when you go back to work, or when you want to go out with your family. If you're anything like me and afraid to whip your boob out in public, you can just whip your bottle out. Unfortunately, in America, that's more normalized. Please feel free to whip your boob out. That's okay too. I personally have not gotten to that level of comfort, and I hope that one day I can. I aspire to be like you booby moms. You inspire me. This is what a Haka looks like, and I actually showed Zach this morning, and he was like, there's one with a lid, because we had so many days that were ruined by me spilling my Haka all over the bed. If you stayed, thank you. I appreciate your time watching this video, and I hope to see you again soon. Please let me know what other things you might find interesting that you'd like to learn more about, and I'll do my best to post as often as I can. Follow for more things on motherhood, teaching, politics, and just my life. Peace out.